Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining our show. This is CNRP-America live show, Khmer Youth Voices for Justice. Again, thank you for joining us today, joining our show today. Today is Tuesday, January 18, 2022. My name is Linda Wu. This show, like I said before, is part of CNRP-America live show. I am broadcasting live from Los Angeles, California. Again, thank you for joining us. We still continue to sign our petition to promote our petitions at change.org. Please help to sign that petitions. It's called Ending Impunity for Justice in Cambodia, a worldwide campaign to find justice for victims of Cambodia backstage killing. Our topic today is the life and legacy of Vichea, and also we will tie the ending impunity for justice in Cambodia with the topic as well. And also, before we start, I have a request for our audience. Please help to let me share the screen. Let me see. This is an open letter to President Joe Biden regarding Myanmar and Cambodia. So the title would be U.S. ASEAN Summit should work to bring genuine democracy to Myanmar and Cambodia. So I am looking for our audience and requesting our audience to go to actionnetworks.org petitions and please sign the petitions. It is an open letter by civil society organizations and advocates for Myanmar and Cambodia, urging President Biden and his administration to take action to promote democracy and human rights in the upcoming U.S. ASEAN Summit. If you have not aware, the summit is going to happen in February. We don't have a date yet, and the date have not been set. It's probably due to the Omicron COVID-19, but as a chairman, which is Cambodia, is currently chair of ASEAN. President Joe Biden, as a usually invite the ASEAN, have an ASEAN US summit. So in February, if nothing holding him back, Hun Sen going to be in America. So we do not want that. America is the land of democracy, and to have a dictator to be in America is a slap in the face. But this letter actually for our audience and for everybody to please help to sign the letter. Let me put it back so that way you can see it again. The letter is at the actionnetworks.org. Please help to sign, and there, if you scroll down, there is the open letter, the letter to U.S. President Joe Biden. So please help to sign that. It's actually detailing on Hun Sen last week, actually 10 days ago, trip to Myanmar and what he have done for since he's been the chair. So please help to sign that petitions at the Change Network. Let me see, sorry, at the actionsnetwork.org. Okay, thank you. And hopefully everyone heading there to sign the petitions. Let me play the ending impunity for justice in Cambodia. Currently, still checking, it's at 112,000 signatures. Together, we will hold Hun Sen and his ally responsible for continuing to kill and hurt Cambodian. Ending impunity in Cambodia campaign seeking support from Cambodia community inside and outside, not just Cambodia, everybody inside and outside of the country and from a non-Cambodian. We are looking for 500,000 signatures. So please, if you have not signed, please help to sign and share the petitions. I have a short video clip of Her Excellency Mosakur thanking everyone, thanking you who have signed the petition. So please help to continue to share and sign petition. Thank you. Let me see.
អីប៉ាធ្វើល្អបានគេសម្រាប់
រដ្ឋប្រហារថ្ងៃទី5ទី6ជីវវិជាត្រូវបានថ្មកំភ្លើង
សំ
បា
ណុ
ញ់
ំ
សម្
រឿង
លាប់
នេះជាប់ពាក់ព័ន្ធនឹងរាជរដ្ឋាភិបាលនេះអ្នកស្រីពីសុខ
លោកបណ្ឌិតកាន់លៃត្រូវបានថ្មកំភ្លើងបាញ់សម្លាប់
3គ្រាប់កាលពីថ្ងៃក្រោយប៉ុន្តែ
ត្រាក់ណាបេះដូងលែងដើរដើមសកុតភ្លៀងខ្ញុំសូមថ្លែងអំណរគុណទៅដល់បងប្អូនដែលបានចូលរួមចុះហត្ថលេខាលើញត្តិយុទ្ធនាការបញ្ចប់នៃទណ្ឌភាពនៅកម្ពុជាតាមនិយាយទាំងអស់ពីពិភពលោកបានចូលរួម
ធ្វើនៅកាតព្វកិច្ចដ៏សំខាន់មួយ
ពិសេសយុវជនដែលបានចូលរួមញត្តិបញ្ចប់នៃទណ្ឌភាពនៅប្រទេសកម្ពុជារបស់យើង
ហើយក៏ជាលើកទី1នៅក្នុងប្រវត្តិសាស្ត្រដែលបងប្អូនខ្មែរទូទាំងពិភពលោកអាចមានឱកាសចូលរួមស្វែងរកយុត្តិធម៌
ជូនអ្នកដែលបានបាត់បង់ជីវិតទៅ
ហើយនៅពេលនេះញត្តិយើងបានជាង 100000
ដែលញត្តិរបស់យើងគឺមានចំនួន 100000 ជាងហើយ
មិនដែលមានញត្តិណាមានខ្ពស់ដល់ប៉ុណ្ណឹងហើយនៃទណ្ឌភាពនៅប្រទេសកម្ពុជាដែលយើងចង់បញ្ចប់គឺករណីសម្រាប់ដោយរដ្ឋដូចជាករណីលោកជាវិជាករណីលោកស្រីពិសិដ្ឋលក្ខណៈចាក់នៃលោកករណីលោកឈុតវិធីករណីនៃបដិជនសុនប៊ុនធឿន
បានសម្លាប់ទង្គាលទៅលើពលរដ្ឋទៅលើអ្នកចេះដឹងទៅលើអ្នកដែលឈឺឆ្អាលរឿងប្រទេសជាតិរឿងនយោបាយ
ហើយបន្តប៉ុណ្ណោះគឺយើងនឹងស្វែងរកយុត្តិធម៌នៅក្នុងប្រទេសកម្ពុជាទៀតមិនឲ្យមានការកាប់សម្លាប់ប្រជាពលរដ្ឋក្រៅប្រព័ន្ធច្បាប់នោះទេ
ដូច្នេះយុទ្ធនាការនេះគឺជាយន្តការអន្តរជាតិមួយដើម្បីជួយរកយុត្តិធម៌គាត់តាមរយៈអន្តរជាតិ
ដើម្បីយើងប្តឹងទៅតុលាការអន្តរជាតិជួយរកភាពយុត្តិធម៌ជូនអ្នកដែលបានបាត់បង់ជីវិត
អ្នកដែលយកបានមកចុះហត្ថលេខាជាង100000នាក់នេះគឺយើងយកទៅអង្គការសហប្រជាជាតិដើម្បីទាមទារឲ្យអង្គការសហប្រជាជាតិដឹងថាត្រូវតែមានការស៊ើបអង្កេតដោយឯករាជ្យលើករណីទាំងអស់នេះ
លុះត្រាតែបងប្អូនយើងទាំងអស់គ្នានៅក្នុងស្រុកនិងក្រៅស្រុកចូលរួមឲ្យបានច្រើនបន្តនៅយុទ្ធនាការបញ្ចប់នៃទណ្ឌភាពនៅក្នុងប្រទេសកម្ពុជាដូច្នេះសូមបន្តចុះញត្តិឲ្យបានច្រើនគ្រប់គ្នាបន្ថែមទៀត
ហើយខ្ញុំសង្ឃឹមថាពុកម៉ែបងប្អូននឹងបន្តចុះញត្តិអនឡាញនេះបន្តទៅទៀត
ដើម្បីឈានទៅរកយុត្តិធម៌ជូនដល់ជនរងគ្រោះហើយបញ្ចប់ពីទណ្ឌភាពនៅប្រទេសកម្ពុជា
ដោយគ្រាន់តែបងប្អូនមានត្រឹមតែទូរស័ព្ទដៃមួយគ្រឿងនេះគឺជារឿងអស្ចារ្យមួយនៅក្នុងសតវត្សទី21នាសម័យបច្ចេកវិទ្យានេះ
យើងរួមគ្នាបញ្ចប់នីតិរដ្ឋភាពដើម្បីយុត្តិធម៌នៅកម្ពុជា
ចូលរួមបញ្ចប់នីតិរដ្ឋភាពដើម្បីយុត្តិធម៌នៅក្នុងកម្ពុជា
យើងចូលរួមបញ្ចប់នីតិរដ្ឋភាពដើម្បីយុត្តិធម៌នៅកម្ពុជាទាំងអស់គ្នា
យើងរួមគ្នាដើម្បីបញ្ចប់នីតិរដ្ឋភាពនៅប្រទេសកម្ពុជា
ដើម្បីបញ្ចប់នីតិរដ្ឋភាពឲ្យមានយុត្តិធម៌នៅក្នុងប្រទេសកម្ពុជា
រួមគ្នាបញ្ចប់នីតិរដ្ឋភាពដើម្បីយុត្តិធម៌នៅប្រទេសកម្ពុជា
រួមគ្នាបញ្ចប់នីតិរដ្ឋភាពដើម្បីយុត្តិធម៌នៅកម្ពុជា
សូមបងប្អូនចូលរួមចុះហត្ថលេខាលើញត្តិរបស់យើងដើម្បីបញ្ចប់វប្បធម៌នីតិរដ្ឋភាពនៅប្រទេសកម្ពុជាដើម្បីរកយុត្តិធម៌ជូនទៅដល់អ្នកដែលរងគ្រោះ
ចូលរួមបញ្ចប់នីតិរដ្ឋភាពនៅក្នុងប្រទេសកម្ពុជាចូល
Welcome back again. Thank you for joining Khmer Youth Voices for Justice. Our show is part of the CNRP-America live show. Our topic today is life and legacy of Chea, and you just watch ending impunity for justice in Cambodia. It's going to tie to the topic for today because on January 22nd, 2022, which this month in a couple more days, it will be going to be an 18th anniversary of his assassination. So if you have not signed the petition, please help to sign the petitions. Let me bring out my guests today. I have two wonderful guests. One of my guests, her name is Sita Arunson. She is the CNRPA supporter in Fresno, California.
Linda.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How about you?
I'm good, thank you. How's Fresno?
Cold, but not that bad.
Okay, yeah,
foggy.
We'll talk to my second guy and see if he agree with you. Thank you, Bong. Let me bring my second guest. His name is Mr. Sophoan Seng. He is from Canada. He is the chairman of Electoral Commissioner for Overseas Cambodians. And he's been here before. Let me bring him out. ជំរាបសួរលោកសុផាន់
បាទជម្រាបសួរបាទ
How are you
I'm good thank you yeah thank you how about you
I'm good thank you Luk Sapon and thank you both Bang Sita and Luk Sapon for being here today for giving us your time and also for advocating for Cambodia. Bang Sita said a little cold in Fresno. How's Canada?
It western fine today but I know eastern have storming it rainy a little bit showering because in my place close to the Seattle not too cold but upper there I mean east of Canada it's very cold right now and very slippery so everyone when you drive be careful.
Some here in the US the East Coast is getting snowstorm so my East Coast fans and friends and family please be careful it's cold out there and it's drive carefully be safe. Before we start on our life and legacy of Vichea, I would like to give a little update on the our Naga Corp because we talk about it almost every week for the last 4 weeks. Let me put up their picture. So today is January 19 in Cambodia. So it is 31 days and the peaceful protests have started and also the 19 days of imprisonment detaining of the eight representatives. So we ask the authority to immediately and unconditionally release all union leader and activists. That is the picture of the eight. I'm sure I show many picture before of having brutally arrest. So January 19, which is the 19 over there in Cambodia, marked the 31 days and the peaceful protest started. The representative want the company, which is Naga Corp, to reinstate the 365 workers who want to go back to work, calculate fair compensation package for those who want to leave, and now the primary demand is to release the 8 jailed union representative. So they work. The name of the union is Labor Rights Support Union for Naga Work Employee. And the same thing we are the same thing for us. We are asking for their release because they just want 365 people to go back to work and fair compensations. Mr. Sophoan, you have anything to add regarding the Naga, the 8 Naga worker and also the current peaceful protest right now that's still going on?
I really appreciate and express my admiring to those workers who come together, very strong union. And if we talk about the unions, Cambodia never have union before. So the unions that we can say started when Vichea, I think he is the first garment factory union leader. I think that's why the topic today is very interesting indeed. So Vichea, he led the union to request, to campaign for fairness from the factory owner or from the employer. Because if you study back to history of Cambodia, we never have fairness between employee and employer, and we don't have union. So during Vichea heyday, when the investment from Western countries and also when Cambodia signed covenant with the ILO, which means International Labour Organization, one of the brands belong to the United Nations. So in that time, the union was created and also the Cambodia law was adopted including constitution and other sub-laws. But in practice, it is very bad. One thing is the employer never learn lesson to appreciate the union. They always accuse union create trouble for their companies. They don't see the good sign. Actually, unions provide a good productivity to the company, indeed. But like Naga World, Naga Corp, which is I think considered the biggest casino and gambling investor in Cambodia. This company, they can build like big monument. I can call monument because in that area, the Naga World building seal the beauty of Buddhist institution, Buddhist institute, which built by the Japan funding, and also the Senate, which is the pride of Cambodia, the parliament, But right now, you cannot see the Senate building and you cannot see the Buddhist institute. You see only the Naga Corp, which is the pride of Mr. Hun Sen. And another thing is Naga Corp, including other investors, big company, when they came to invest in Cambodia, they don't go through the rule of law or through the national regulations. They go through the string of power, or we call power line. So any company that goes through Mr. Hun dynasty, that company is really powerful. And Naga Corp, according to the research, according to the news, belong to at least Mr. Hun Sen's son, Hun Manet, and also Hun Manet belong to that. Because there's some check payment that pay to the Khmer Time newspaper. Khmer Time newspaper, they cannot make profit in Cambodia, like newspaper like Khmer Time, they cannot make profit. So they are sponsored by the company, by the Naga World casino, so that they can pay the reporter, they can pay the office rental, because they cannot sell the newspaper. And right now, including Phnom Penh Post as well. Phnom Penh Post, after the owner belonged to the foreign reporter, he left Cambodia with the Cambodia Daily, that they closed it. But Phnom Penh Post is still running because they sold to another owner. But actually, it just excused. It is belong to Hun Manet, and it is covered up by the Naga World, Naga Corp. So this business is dirty business, like Naga World Casino is dirty. And why they don't respect the union? They don't respect the worker. This is the question. And also they don't respect the law, the Cambodian law, and the international law like the IAO. And I praise those labor, especially the leader of this union. Her name is Sita. I got to know her personally. She is very dynamic woman, dynamic young woman, I can say, because most of the time she is very engaging with every stakeholder, and her leadership is very very cooperative with other employees. And she was elected as the union leader for the Naga Corp. And from her activism and her dynamism, that's why Naga Corp tried to threat her, tried to shut up her mouth, I can say that. But she's still very active until they come to peaceful protest, active, non-violent on the street. And finally, they accuse her and put her in jail among those 8 people that you put the picture here. And I just go back to what Vichea started union. Vichea was shot to death because of his popularity among labor workers, among government workers. And legacy of Vichea is come to today, and we can say that right now we have many Vichea, including Sita, the young dynamic Cambodian woman.
Thank, thank you. Let me see it. Thank you, Mr. Sophoan. I have, let me remind our audience a little bit. 18 years ago, almost 18 years ago, Vichea was assassinated. We remember Vichea. He is the founding president of the Free Trade Union, like Mr. Sophoan said. His passion is for labor issues, not his passion. He's wanting helping to solve labor issues and rights for workers to collectively bargain for higher wage and better conditions. On January 22nd, 2004, which is going to be 18 years, G was shot in the head and chest early in the morning while he was reading his newspaper. So the killing of G was politically motivated, and the identity of the perpetrator and those behind still nowhere to be found. Whilst when there is still no answer to who killed G from the regime, we know why he was murdered, because he's affiliated with the political oppositions, which is Samrang, as well as he determined to organize Cambodian workers to bargain collectively with with their bosses and the government. So, as Mr. Sophoan Seng said, 18 years later, anyone that trying to organize union, and in this case, when we're talking about Naga Corp, one of the issue that they brought up as well, that those workers, the Naga Corp, want them to dissolve the union, and those people on strike, they don't want that. They want to have union. They want to have union to represent them. I have a little short clip regarding his killing for our audience who have not seen what's going on, but I'm sure many people would have known or would have heard about it. His face is on our ending impunity for justice in Cambodia. We have that campaign for over a year and a half now, but I want to remind our audience what's going on in Cambodia. So I will share a YouTube. This is from a documentary of his life. It's a trailer, it's like a 2-minute trailer released by Lao Mouth Films, and the title "Who Killed Vichea?"
Yeah,
Yes.
before the clip, I just add a little bit. It reminded me about Sok Sam Eun case. Sok Sam Eun and another gentleman. They become what we call the victim when they killed Vichea, and there were pressure from every embassy in Cambodia, especially from the United Nations. So in that time, they created the fake assassin, Sok Sam Eun and Bon Sam Nang. Yeah, I think Bon Sam Nang and Sok Sam Eun, right? So put them in jail like almost 10 years, I think, because they're innocent. They don't have any link to the Vichea at all. That's why if we watch the movie and the clip, we know that this is crazy. Not only Vichea died and his family desperately live in abroad, right? Left Cambodia to live in Norway nowadays,
Yes.
his wife and his kids. But other Cambodian citizens like Bon Sam Nang and Sok Sam Eun become victimized by the injustice killing. So this is pretty bad. Not only bad role model and injustice to Cambodian people, it becomes scar, it becomes bad memory, and traumatize Cambodian citizens, the whole country.
Yeah, it's a scare tactic basically. So let me try to share this, and then we'll talk about a little bit so that we can just remind ourselves. I know ABG, that's a topic that we always talk about, and I just want our youth to know that who he is, why we talk about him, and so.
លាស់លោកជាវិជាឲ្យសាកសីបានដូចតបណែពេលដែលកំពុងនៅកំពុងបាត់ខ្ញុំយកចាំទៅយកទៅឲ្យពូអស់មកចាំដល់មកវិញទៀតអស់វាអត់ទេណាទៅអាពូណានេះ
This country, yeah, a lot of bad things happen. Would you like to be something bad happen to you?
Nhưng nhau mua chia cầm đi đây nhưng nhau mua chia bị chia.
Bong Sita, after seeing that video, what do you tell the youth about Vichea?
Sad, bring back a lot of emotion. But I want to bring out, I want to point out, according to the Al Jazeera news, it says that they, after the killing of Vichea, they caught 2 people, but during their trial, the judge could not find any evidence that linked them to those 2, so it was acquit. But then they turn around and dismiss the judge, and they bring another judge to become, the judge trial them again after it was acquit the first time, and then the new judge found them guilty and put them in jail. I think it was like 20 years, something like that. But they, during the first trial, they could not. There's multiple witness, put those 2 in different places, and so that's why the first judge could not find a link to them kill Vichea. So it's we all know that this is not they just point finger to somebody because the authority could not send a real investigation because the killer are probably somebody powerful in the government, and to shut up Vichea, to shut up the labor force, so that's what probably happened. And but nowadays we have many new Vichea rise up. Nowadays there's many educated young people, and they know very well what labor's rights are and what their rights are, so they are very aware and outspoken, but again they trying to shut them up again, put them in jail. That's what we having the Naga world situation today. Yeah.
Thank you, Bong. Look, Sophoan, Saturday going to be 18 years since his assassinations. We're talking about Naga world right now at the same time. Anything change at all in Cambodia situation 18 years later?
Change. There are more leaders in the union industry, because as I can bring back my memory, during Vichea's union, only the factory workers, only garment factory workers. But right now has been expanded to casino and hotel, to other industries, including construction labor. And the tendency that the power of the worker will become stronger and expanded to teacher union like Lok Rungchon. He is the leader of the teacher association union, and it can be expanded to government officers, because in the US, in Canada, we have those union too, not only private company but the government as well. And I think this is the legacy of Mr. Chea that started in the beginning, and I can see it becomes sprawling, expanding, and there are more leaders in the union sector. I got to know many great leaders in garment factories, union, hotel and casino unions, like this one, Naga Corp. Naga Corp is considered the biggest union that I can see, and also the richest company, because Naga Corp each year their profit is triple. They got a lot of money, and they recruited a lot of laborers, and they expanded the branch. At the beginning, they had only one, but right now they expanded, I think, 2 or 3 of them more.
From what I recall, they have one, but like a boat on a river, and now
Yeah,
they are so big.
Yeah, they expanded very big, and I think they have a lot of projects. They including big projects that Naga Corp is planning to do. So this company is almost representing 10% of the foreign direct investment in Cambodia, I think. And I can see that young leaders, those union leaders, they have been closely engaged by ILO, International Labour Organization, and they have been closely engaged by friends or union from the United States, from Europe, from Canada, from Australia. Because like, you know, the world, they have the World Federal Union Association, that they have been helping each other. And those unions, when they have, you know, the nature of the union, the same law, not different from Canada and from US, because the union law in Cambodia, they really copycat from US. And the union in the US held drafting the law, as I can know. Each union is independent when they recruit the employee, because like one company, like Naga Corp, for instance, they have like 3,000 workers, but only 2,000 become member. Another 1,000 they don't join the union, right? It's the same like in here. But you know, more and more the workers come to join the union because union provide them protection. Become the member of the union, you have to pay from your paycheck about 6% or 5%, right? And those paychecks that union can run their business. It is different from what the spokesperson from the Justice Department of Cambodia said, that there are some foreign aid or foreign financial support to those strikes, to those non-violent demonstrations. Actually, no. He does not understand the union nature. Union nature like this one, that's why I am praising Chim Sita. She is a great leader, because not only mobilize the worker manpower, but she can mobilize financial budget, right? She collected the money from the worker every paycheck, and those money has been used properly. That's why that when they come to the strike like this, those workers who come to strike, they got benefit about, I think, 50%, not the whole salary that provided by the Naga Corp. That's how union, they collect the money, and those money they provide back to the worker. But the Cambodian government and those officers, they don't understand union nature at all, and they accuse those unions are not neutral. Sometimes they accuse those unions supporting CNRP, or those unions supported by foreign country or by any hidden support. That's why they can go and sit down, meditate every day, right? This is wrong. No, guy, you open your eye, open your heart, open your brain. I can say, don't be a small brain, be a big brain, right? Understand the union nature. And Naka Corp is a big company. And those unions, they created almost 10 years already. So they earn a lot of money and they properly control those money, use that money for. That's why they keep demonstrating until today. Another thing that from my observation is that every country, when there's a conflict between employer and employee, there is a neutral body that government set up, not the Ministry of Labor come to intervene, not the government come to intervene. At this nature, Naka Corp worker only protesting the Naka Corp employer, not the government. But why the government intervene them and accuse them as a criminal and put them in jail? This is absolutely wrong. The world cannot accept this, cannot accept at all. It must be a stupid brain leader that do this, not a normal person at all that I can say. This is wrong because this is a conflict between employer and employee. You are the neutral, like if you are the police, you have to protect them in one place, not allow anybody to conduct any bad thing to them. You cannot go and put the sound system and put out loud sound like saying I heard like Sanctuary went there and I heard the sound of the speaker, very loud talking
It's the
about
last call, what they call the last call.
Yeah, last call, whatever. It's threatening. You don't do that. You are the policeman. Why you have to annoy them? You cannot disturb them because they demonstrate with the employer. Employer treat them badly. When they fire them without good reason, when they take away their benefit that they should have by law, legally speaking, they should get the benefit, but the employer doesn't give them. They have negotiated several times, until the last reason is the collective action that we call collective action, that in Cambodian term we call anu sanya ruom, come to strike. In English term we call strike, but in Cambodian term we interpret or we translate as kotakam. But in English is strike. Strike means you don't go to work. You don't go to work, make company stifle, And sometimes they bring the big van or the big container, block the road so that the company cannot have product movement. That they call company have to accept the union. This is allowed by the law. The police cannot accuse them that they commit crime. No, this is allowed by the law. When the union and the employer negotiate, not have agreement, the union have right to strike. All those powerful men in Cambodia have to learn about this strike that I want to tell them that.
Thank you, Mr. Sophoan. You mentioned that you know or work with many of the union representatives in different areas in Cambodia. What is their main concern? What is their most main concern? The not treating properly at the workplace, or the salary, or what is it that main? And by the way, garment worker, I believe, earn $197 a month.
Yeah. My main concern that I see the obstacle is corruption, because those companies, they pay under table to the powerful officer or to the prime minister table. I don't know. He have his body, his associate, many associate under him. So when they pry the money too much, the company have to bring back money. That's why they don't treat the employee very well. They don't treat the bottom line people very well, because those money they injected to the top officer, to the corrupt officer already. This is the main problem. That's why the officer have to protect the employer. This time they protect the employer, right? Because they bias, they discriminated against the bottom line. The powerful of Cambodian leadership has been discriminating against the bottom line of Cambodian workers, those labor who use their hand, their leg, and their sweat to earn a living. But those corrupt officers, they make huge money. They sit in the conditioned room, and they drive very luxury car. They have big luxury home. They enjoy life because of bribery. But the bottom line, like the worker, they earn very minimal, like you said, $199 or $200, right? And
Yes.
no benefit. When they come to strike, those governments should protect the bottom line people. But why they do this? Because they protect the employer. They protect the Naga world, the Naga corp. This is called modern bourgeoisie. You know, bourgeoisie. Bourgeoisie is a class of political system that has been like died 200 years ago, and we don't have in any other country. Even though in communist country like Vietnam or China, we don't have this system, but Cambodia still have this bourgeoisie system, protectorate system, something like that. I think Cambodian labor, the bottom line people have to rise up. We cannot just allow this to happen in Cambodia at all. Because we use our sweat, our both leg and both hand for a living. And right now they step on us, they suck our blood, you know, I can say that.
Thank you, Mr. Sophoan. Bong Sita, you've been to protests many times. I've been protests with you many times. How does police in America treating you when you go to protest? Do they come and shove you to the corner and tell you and stuff, or what's going on? How do you compare the protests that you see with the Naga world, Naga Corp, and the protests in America that you've been at?
The difference is the police, the officer protect the protester, not protecting the who we protesting against. I mean, they protect both. You know, as long as you don't damage their property and things like that, they protect both sides. They don't just come and shove you in the car and do, because you protest. They say you're doing wrong, like Cambodia right now. No, that's not how things work. But I can see why in Cambodia they're doing that right now, because like you mentioned, one of you mentioned that the owner of the Maker Wall, some of the owner are Hun Sen's family, right? And so it's just natural. They're the power holder in Cambodia government. So anything against their against them, or they're gonna shut them down, shut them up in every aspect of the way. So we all know that every big business in Cambodia run by the Hun family and his crony. So people in Cambodia, I think they are fed up right now, even though with those threats, they are still out there and strong. So I'm very proud and support them. What they're doing right now, they are standing up for their right, and that we need more. We need more people, all union across the country. You know, the construction worker, the teachers, all across Cambodia, union people, union labor, factory worker. Everybody is not being treated right. They need to stand up. It's about time for to stand up together instead of just stay low and hope for the better. But it's getting worse each year. It's getting worse. So right now it's a good time because the makeover is out there loud. If all the other union, labor stand up at the same time, they'll make bigger voice, they make bigger noise out there, and the government will and those companies will negotiate. If the bigger the number, the better. So
Thank you, Bong. When you said waiting for things to get better, I don't think they're waiting for things to get better. They're waiting, hoping that it's not happening to them, and we can see again and again. One day, like we always say, we always at our show, one day it will be them. One day, and this is, who would imagine that 18 year later, almost 18 years later, after the assassination of Vichea, we still have strike, and people and the regime is still not respecting and also calling this union representative what color revolution. So 18 years later, sooner it, who would think that it would happen to them? But it's not that that thing will get better. They're just hoping that thing will not happen to them. I have a like a 5 minutes video. Maybe I cut it short, but I'm gonna also tell a little bit more about Vichea. So since we are talking about his life, his legacy, and like I said, we are comparing what's going on 18 years, going to be 18 years this Saturday. So let me see if I can share that again, and then we'll watch a little bit of his lives in case our audience have not seen what's going on in Cambodia.
Hello, my name is Vichea, the President of the Free Trade Union of the Worker of the Kingdom of Cambodia. $40,000 workers is member. I can call the strike or demonstration again to the result of the election. And we organize the demonstration or strike again to the employers to be increased, to be removed wage, to be improve our working condition. We are strong enough for make trouble for the government.
Was he killed because he was a political activist? Was he killed because he was a trade union? I think all those factors are together in Vichea.
Yes, he had political clout because he was the leader of a labor movement. What is political clout but the ability to mobilize? And he was well known, and he's very charismatic. All those factors oppose a challenge.
There isn't much of an economy here, really, when you think of it. There's only three pillars: agriculture, which is very vulnerable to drought or flooding; tourism, which is even more vulnerable to instability or terrorism; and then garments. When you have a GDP of what, 8 billion, and you ship to America almost $2 billion worth of garments, that's an enormous part of the economy. You know, there's, I think, 360,000 garment workers now. And that means each one of them may be taking care of 9 or 10 other people. So do the math, 3-4 million people are dependent upon Gap and Levi Strauss.
Many of the trade unionists are extremely poor people who came to Phnom Penh only because they couldn't make it in their home provinces. And in a country with such grave poverty, you'd think that the interest of any government would be to represent some of the poorest people in the country. Well, the government's clearly aligned with the owners of the garment factories and not the workers. That's been the case since day one.
For sourcing department, it is about profits, and it is where is it cheapest. To say something about like the ethics of a company or the people working there, yeah, in the end, it's for PR reasons. And of course, they want people to have a good feeling when they buy their products. That's okay with me, as long as they make sure that the working conditions on the ground actually improve.
Of course, there are rights that extend beyond that, and those are, of course, the human rights of trade unionists. And part of this is also the right to organize and the right to form free and independent trade unions.
That was part of the whole deal 10 years ago or 12 years ago, was that there would be a right to organize, collective bargaining, all that stuff in order to get the quotas to America.
When you look in Asia, Cambodia ranks among the highest when it concerns violence against trade union leaders.
I think the US, as other countries in the world, look at Cambodia's case as they want Cambodia's case to be the good product of international aid. At this moment, democracy in Cambodia is in trouble. And the world, the community has to recognize that.
What can we do is that we can try to keep up the pressure by keeping the focus on these cases. We can keep the pressure on the Cambodian government.
People, of course, as consumers have a certain power. And although one consumer might not have that much power, but Consumers United have that power.
Clearly, the people of Cambodia deserve better, and they're not getting what they deserve.
The campaign for justice for Vichea, it still needs to happen. The killers needs to be found and judged. So it's still an unfinished business. Still an unfinished business.
And almost 18 years later, 18 years on Saturday, we're still talking about democracy in Cambodia. And we're still talking about union in Cambodia. So, Mr. Sophoan, how do we change that? How do we change that in Cambodia?
For me, like, I teach my children when we go to buy clothes, look at made in Cambodia. And I will explain them, simple word. This is from their sweat, from their labor. We buy here like 20 bucks, but in Cambodia only $5. And you know how much labor they make, like 150 or 190 per month. And my kid asked me, how can they make a living? Less than 200 per month. I said, yeah, the condition is worse. 200 is better, but there's unfairness treated by the employer because they don't have holiday, they don't have like 7 hours per day or 8 hours per day rule or 40 hours per week rule. More than that, you have to OT, like overtime payment. In Cambodia, no. Sometimes the employer like force labor to work extending hour without payment. But because of the union, because of Vichea, that's why they started to count overpayment and started to learn that if you work more than 8 hours per day, you are entitled to overpayment, double payment. And if you are working in the holiday, you are double payment. And if you are working in the weekend, like Saturday and Sunday, extra day, you are double payment. So right now, many factories learn from that. That is the legacy of Vichea. And as I know, he mentioned about 40,000 workers. But right now, you know how much? 800,000 workers. So the number is expanding, just garment factory alone. How about construction workers? How about hotel and casinos workers and other sectors? So a lot. And my hope is that I cross my finger that the movement of the labor is the strongest movement in the world. Nobody can block this movement at all, because it is the movement about their mouth and their stomach, about how much they can put the food on the table to feed themselves and to feed their children. So that's why the arresting of 8 union leaders put in jail 18 days ago, it is a sign of, it's a bad sign for Mr. Hun Sen leadership. It is very bad sign, because there will be question from those bottom line people that they cannot make a good living. Standard of living is really bad, and especially during this COVID-19 pandemic as well. And when they come to the protest, they welcome 2022, the New Year's, with this arrest the warrant that it is not legitimate. Like Mrs. Sita Arunson mentioned about the judge, about the court. Sometimes the court themselves make what we call the theatric court, theatric judging.
Theatric court.
Yeah.
Theater, like
theater court, whatever. Yeah. So this is funny, it's funny. So whenever the knowledge is power, I say all those workers, like almost 1 million workers right now, they learn about their rights, right? Their labor rights, and they are entitled to receive benefit. And when the court do like this, the court themselves become bad image. And when the labor, like those young workers, they are the agent of change, and they are the front line of younger generation that breed dynamic. And right now, Hun Sen, like before, he go from factory to factory and dance with them and kiss them and give them the envelope, before the election 2018, right? But after the election, they put the union leader in jail, like today. It is contradict. That's why I say his destiny come to an end, doing with the what we call the strongest power of the nation is the labor, the workers, like today.
Yes, on the video, I forgot to mention the video is probably 15 years ago, and it's mentioned making $1 a day for now. We did this calculation during the one of the union regarding negotiating the minimum wage, and $197 per month come out to be $1 per hour. That's when we did this a couple months ago. So now we can say 15 years later, from $1 per day to $1 per hour, and 18 years later, it's the conditions and the union. It's still the same as when Vichea was assassinated. And we, like we said today, the trouble that, and also not that the government is helping. The government actually, the court came out. It's illegal to protest. It's so all these things that's going on. Bong Sita, you're gonna have the last chance to say last chance to answer. What do we do to change this?
Knowledge is the power to change, and I think the younger generation, the picture, the 8-9 people that you put on a picture, they're all young people. When Vichea was assassinated, some of them probably maybe just a few years old, and they might not experience it, but they have the knowledge. They educated themselves, and now we just need more people in Cambodia, throughout Cambodia, everywhere, to get yourself educated, knowledge, acquire the knowledge that you need to stand up for your right, to stand up for what's in the law that provided for you already. You just need to utilize it and empower yourself and empower those around you, just like those 8 people who empower all those people to come out to do the protest. 8 go in jail and 1,000 more get up. That's what we need. That's what you need in Cambodia. That's what you need to do in order to make the change. If you want change, you want a better life for yourself, better life for your future, better life for your children's future. You need to start with you. You need to get the knowledge and stand up and speak up, just like Terry saying, and others that out there and outspoken. Just do it, and one way or the other, there will be change if you make noise.
And don't also just get the knowledge and use it too. Don't learn about labor right, don't learn about collective bargain, and then just sit home and watch on Facebook when people are protesting. The union representative, they are protesting every single day. And looks upon it's 800,000 Cambodian under unions. Where are they?
Join each other. Yeah, join each other and get up and make the noise. And
the leader of the union, like I said, they created alliance, but to bring other worker from another union to join the group, it is not right, because according to the union law, you can protest only in the company that you belong to. If you not belong to the company and you go to protest, they will make a big law to arrest you.
They don't have to come. They don't have to come to Nagawal. They can do it in their own place. Can so everybody stand up at the same time
to make all the companies stifle.
Right.
It works if you do that way. So it depends on the leaders. That, as I know, the government created their own union too.
Yes.
Like I know few of them, their union only the name but no members. And also those union leaders, they are the policemen. They have salary by the government, but they despite them to be a union leader so that they can distracting. They can distract people or distract other union. Or sometimes they speak as a union to the international media. This is how we call the distraction tactic by the dictator. That is very bad. They always make anything distracting, even though in the social media. If you don't view Facebook with your intelligence, you might be distracted as well, because the dictator learned good distraction tactic to make your mind upset, or to make your mind shy away from reality.
Talking about the news, I don't think the mouthpiece of the regime even put on the protest or mentions. I saw one mentions of how it is illegal to protest, and how they found out there's like 3 organizations supporting this protest, and that's what the last piece of information that I see from the regime mouth. I guess what they call the trusted new mouthpiece in Cambodia.
Fresh news. But they created many other distraction community reporter, and they can talk about this, talk about that, even though they send the crazy person to talk in front of the striker, talking about they dress in shoes, look nice, but they talk about their salary only 200 per month, but they can sponsor them like new car, new home, new business, whatever. and they try to make it big to the media, to the Facebook, so that the Facebook viewer get distracted away from the reality. So this is how they create the distracting situation. And in February 16 next month, they will put one gateway for internet. That gateway internet funded by China. It is very expensive. Like China build firewall. Right now they put firewall for Mr. Hun Sen to filter the internet. They are afraid the voice of independence. Because in Cambodia now, no independent voice. All those media, including TV, railway station, uh, what we call the propaganda of the regime. It's not real thing. They just speak fake news, create fake news. You know, to persuade the population, to make them like everyone stupid, not to be wise or intelligent people. That
Thank
crazy,
you,
right?
Mr.
That sounds crazy.
Yeah,
But it's funny.
it sound crazy, but it happened. It exists
The
in
reality,
Cambodia.
the
Yeah,
reality
that's
in Cambodia. Yeah.
yeah, that's the reality. Thank you so much, Bong Sita, and thank you, Blok Sophoan, for being here today. And thank you for discussing the life and legacy of Mr. Vichea. We know after 18 years later, it's still the same issues going on. We have the union issue, not issue. We don't have issue with them. The regime have issue with them, which is not even in their issue the first place. It should be the union representative and the Naga will or Naga Corp that should be negotiating. But after many months, and if our audience have just tuning in, it's not just 31 days that on strike. They are negotiating for, I believe, since April. And when it fell, 30 now it's been 31 days that they are peaceful protests. And in addition to peaceful protests, the regime retained their representative. So in addition to they wanted the 365 worker to go back to work and fair wage and fair labor. They are adding release their a union representative before even talking. So so that's where we stand right now, 31 days later. And all these we are tying it to Vichea. He been an advocate for the union, and so on Saturday we will remember him, and it has been 18 years later. And also we have a petitions online ending impunity for justice in Cambodia. Please help to sign those. That's you always see his picture when you go to change.org, and that is one of the killing the killing by the state, backed by the state, where you will never so far never find perpetrator as of 18 years later. So please help to share and support our petitions. And thank you so much, both of my guests, and thank you, my audience, for being here today. I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. And thank you, Bang Sita, and thank you, Losapon.
Thank you. Yeah.